Imagine this. It's finally release day. After years of waiting, Euro Truck Simulator 2 has finally arrived on PlayStation. So you get in your car, drive to your local game store, walk through the doors, head over to the PlayStation section, and there isn't a disc. There isn't even a game case. The only way to buy the game is through a digital download. Now, for some people, that probably doesn't sound like a big deal. In fact, many gamers already buy their games digitally. But for millions of PlayStation players, this represents one of the biggest changes gaming has seen in decades. And if SCS Software doesn't release Euro Truck Simulator 2 and American Truck Simulator before 2028, this could become reality. The gaming industry is changing slowly, but very noticeably. And while most people are talking about graphics, artificial intelligence, cloud gaming, and the next generation of consoles, something much bigger is happening in the background. The way we own games is changing, or perhaps the way we don't own games anymore. Sony, the company behind the PlayStation, has announced plans to end physical disc production for new PlayStation game releases beginning in January 2028. That announcement immediately caught my attention. Not because I collect game discs, but because I immediately started thinking about games like Euro Truck Simulator 2 and American Truck Simulator. Because I think simulator fans should be paying attention. Now, let's imagine two different futures. In the first future, SCS Software releases Euro Truck Simulator 2 sometime before January 2028. Great. You walk into a store, buy the game, take it home, install it. Add the case to your collection. You have options. If one store is charging too much, you go somewhere else. If your friend wants to try the game, you lend it to them. If you eventually move to PC, maybe you sell your PlayStation copy, or perhaps you simply keep it on your shelf because it represents one of your favorite simulators. That's how physical games have always worked. Now let's imagine the second future. SCS releases ETS2 after January 2028. The game launches digitally. There's no disc, no game case, no collector's edition sitting on a shelf, no physical copy to lend, no physical copy to trade, no used copy to buy. Everyone downloads the game. Everyone purchases a digital license. Suddenly, the experience of buying Euro Truck Simulator 2 becomes very different from what many PlayStation players have known for years, and that's why timing matters. Because SCS Software still has an opportunity. If they launch before that deadline, console players could still have both options, physical and digital. But if they launch after, the decision may no longer belong to the player. Now, at this point you might be thinking, so what? I already buy digital games, and that's completely fair. A lot of people do. But here's where the conversation becomes much more interesting. Because this isn't really about downloading games. It's about ownership. When you buy a physical game, you're buying something tangible. You hold it in your hands, you place it on your shelf. You decide what happens to it. You can lend it, sell it, trade it, gift it, or keep it forever. A digital purchase works differently. Instead of buying a physical product, you're purchasing a license that allows your PlayStation account to access the game. Most of the time. That works perfectly, and for many players, it makes no practical difference day to day. But legally and practically, there is an important distinction. A physical copy and a digital license are not the same thing, and once physical games disappear, that distinction becomes much more important. But believe it or not, I don't actually think ownership is the biggest issue here. I think there's something else. Something that could affect every future PlayStation player, including everyone waiting for Euro Truck Simulator 2 and American Truck Simulator. Because I honestly think this is where the biggest change could happen. And strangely, it's something that many people haven't really thought about. For years, physical games have created competition. Think about what normally happens when a new PlayStation game launches. One retailer might sell it for a little less. Another store might include a special promotion. Another retailer might bundle it with accessories. If one shop is expensive, you simply buy it somewhere else. Competition gives players options, and that's a good thing, but there's another advantage that many gamers have relied on for decades: the second-hand market. Imagine someone buys a game on launch day. They finish it after a few weeks, they decide to sell it. Now someone else gets to enjoy exactly the same game for a much lower price. When they're done, they can sell it again. One physical copy might pass through several different players over many years. Everyone benefits. But digital games don't work like that. There are no second-hand digital copies. There are no used digital games sitting on a shelf waiting for you. You can't walk into your local game shop hoping someone traded in Euro Truck Simulator 2. That option simply disappears. Everyone has to purchase their own digital license. Now, to be fair, PlayStation regularly runs digital sales. Games do go on discount. Sometimes those discounts are excellent, and if you're patient, you can definitely save money. So, this isn't about saying digital games never become cheaper. They do. The difference is, if you don't like the launch price, you wait. If there isn't a sale, you wait even longer. You can't go looking for a cheaper used copy. You can't borrow your friend's disc. You can't trade another game to reduce the cost for many players. That changes how they buy games. And here's why I think this matters even more for truck simulators. Because Euro Truck Simulator 2 isn't really just one game. Neither is American Truck Simulator. They're platforms, living platforms. They're games that continue growing year after year. Let's look at the PC version. ETS2 has been receiving updates for well over a decade. Think about everything SCS software has added over the years. Entire countries. Completely rebuilt road networks, brand new trucks, new trailers, cargo packs, driving academy. Visual improvements, lighting upgrades, UI redesigns. Gameplay improvements, bus stations, tow-to-road features, new driving mechanics, and that's just scratching the surface. American Truck Simulator has followed exactly the same path every year. Another state arrives, another truck, another feature, another improvement. These games never really stop evolving. And that's exactly why pricing becomes such an important conversation. Buying the base game is only the beginning. Let's imagine a PlayStation player buying ETS2 for the very first time. They buy the game. A few months later, a new map expansion releases, then another, then another. A truck tuning pack arrives, a cargo pack, a trailer pack, a new gameplay feature, maybe a coach's DLC, maybe new passenger transport systems, maybe entirely new gameplay modules that SCS hasn't even announced yet. Every one of those additions will almost certainly be digital. Even if you bought the base game on a disc, your simulator would continue growing digitally. And after a few years, your PlayStation account could contain dozens of DLCs, map after map, truck after truck, expansion after expansion. Now imagine someone discovering ETS2 3 years later on a physical market. Maybe they could buy a used copy of the base game at a lower price. Maybe they could slowly build their DLC collection over time, but in a digital-only future. Everyone starts from the same place, buying through the digital store. Again, sales can happen, discounts can happen, bundles can happen, but the second-hand market disappears completely, and that's one reason why so many players still value physical games, not because they hate digital, but because they appreciate having choices. Now, you might be thinking, maybe this is just a PlayStation thing, but that's where this story becomes even more interesting, because Sony isn't the only company moving towards a digital future. There have also been rumors that Microsoft is exploring a future where Xbox becomes even more digital than it already is. Now, nothing has been officially confirmed about completely removing physical games. But if you've been paying attention over the last few years, you can see the direction the industry is heading. Microsoft has invested heavily in Game Pass, cloud gaming, digital purchases, subscription services, Play Anywhere, and digital storefronts. The truth is, the entire gaming industry is changing. Not just PlayStation, not just Xbox, gaming as a whole, and that raises a much bigger question. What does ownership actually mean in the future? Because 20 years ago, you bought a game, you owned that game. You could put it on a shelf, lend it to a friend, sell it, trade it, keep it forever. Today, gaming is becoming more about access, streaming, subscriptions, digital libraries, cloud saves. online services. For some people, that's progress. For others, it feels like we're slowly losing something. Neither side is necessarily wrong. It's simply two different ways of looking at gaming. And honestly, I think both have valid points. Digital gaming has made life much easier. No scratched discs, no waiting outside stores at midnight, no worrying about losing your game case. Your library follows you wherever you sign in. That's incredibly convenient. But physical games also offered something digital never really can: choice, freedom, ownership, the ability to decide what happens to the copy you paid for.